Welcome back to the channel. It's your boy DJ Johnny Bagodonuts. I'm just playing. You know why you're here. It's the next iteration of the first 4, which is where I play 4 hours of a game and then give you the good, bad, and ugly of it. Today we're looking at the next project from White Paper Games, The Occupation. Is a first-person, fixed-time investigative thriller set in Northwest England in 1987. You play as a journalist tasked with investigating a recent bombing, and you need to stealthily gather information on those that may be involved. And you're doing this all in real time. It's pretty cool. I've been waiting to play this for a while, so let's just get right into it. Alright, we'll start out with graphics. The art style is, realistic cartoony, kind of reminds me of like Dishonored. They do a good job with color and lighting to give it a vibrant world, but also feels like, it's got some darkness and some mystery to it. Overall, it's a nice mood setter. Adding to that mood is the sound. Now, I think the sound in this game is very well done. It is a quiet game, but I believe it's intentional, especially when you enter in an area that you aren't supposed to be in, and the music starts droning to give you a sense of dread. It really adds to the tension. And come on, you're sneaking through a building. There's going to be some tension. Now, speaking of the music, I love this soundtrack. It is complete 80s throwback. They've created these like cassettes and records that you can find of songs and bands that you've never heard of because it's not real, but they totally fit in that time frame, and it was just awesome. Every time I came across it, I was just rocking out. Very good. We need an original soundtrack of this ASAP. White Paper Games, please do not let me down on this. Controls are fairly basic, with your interact button becoming the main focus here. The really cool part is most objects interact in a way that they would in real life, and you operate them like you normally would. Meaning you're going to be pushing, pulling, twisting, turning items. I was honestly surprised how interactive some of the objects were. Now, as far as I've gotten into the game, basically what they do is they give you a person that you're going to be interviewing, and then they give you an hour in real time before to go through the building and try to sneak through and get as much information as you can within that time. I really enjoyed that mechanic because it gave you enough time to, go around and investigate and try to find things, but it wasn't enough to feel comfortable, so it really kept pushing you further and further and trying to speed through stuff and, added to the tension. I'm already thinking about going back through and utilizing, character schedules that I found and trying to get into areas I wouldn't normally be able to. It was a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to more. Sounds kind of weird, but I actually really enjoyed the lack of the HUD. It really kind of immersed you into what you were doing, and it made it that all the information is found through visual mechanics, such as checking your watch for the time or receiving messages on your beeper for phone calls. And I just really thought it was an inventive way of giving the players information without having to give them, a very cluttered HUD where you could easily have put up a clock on there. And I don't know, it was just, I really liked that. It was cool.
Hey, good day, madam.
All right, look.
I don't know why I had as much trouble as I did with the dossier file, but it was very confusing to me, and I had no clue where to find any of the information I was looking for, so I was kind of just flipping around and fumbling around until I found it. Same kind of went for the briefcase. It was just like way too much information going on. It was just kind of confusing. And to add to that confusion, there's just a lot of information being thrown at you, i.e., people's names, room numbers, passwords, times, and it can be a little overwhelming trying to figure out what to do. I mean, there definitely were times where I knew what I was looking for, but I did not know why, or I knew I had to be in this room to meet with someone at a certain time, but I had no clue who I was meeting with, or again, why. So that was a little frustrating.
Hello, Mr. Miller. Right on time.
Overall, I can't knock the movement of the game, except for the climbing. It felt very slow and a little clunky, especially when you are hitting stairs after a long pace of sprinting. I wish the interview portions were a little bit more interactive, and what I mean by that is, like the order in which you ask your questions could possibly affect the entire interview altogether. I mean, right now it feels like you just run through the questions one by one and it reveals more story, but it would be more interesting to have to maybe hold a question until later in the interview, or just hold back altogether so you don't upset the character, that way you can get further in to investigate. I mean, to be fair, it actually might be this way right now, but I haven't had the ability to experiment, which leads me to the occupation's most important drawback in my opinion.
I'm not sure if that's a question or...
This game requires a lot of experimentation, and the set time you have to try to do that doesn't really allow you to try multiple tactics, especially when characters have a routine or they have certain areas that are only available during specific windows of time. To get the most out of this game, it almost certainly requires at least a second playthrough, which I can see being something that would irk some players and really turn people off to wanting to play.
Mr. Miller, you're fast becoming a thorn in my side.
I didn't find anything during my playtime that was completely game breaking or really rose to the level of me being super annoyed. So I'm just gonna leave it empty. Nothing here. Good job. And that's gonna do it for this edition of the First Four. I liked this game. I think the biggest issue with it is that it just appeals to a certain kind of player. I mean, the people that are willing to go back and replay it and invest some time into it are really going to be rewarded. But if you're just going to do a one-time through, you might feel like it's lacking a little bit. But regardless, I think it accomplishes what it sets out to be, which is an 80s quasi-political thriller investigative game. And it has a cool mechanic of being in real time, and I really enjoyed it. So if you think you would like this kind of game, pick it up, play it. If you think you're not going to like this game, you might want to pass on it. Either way, it's well made, and they try to do something new and different, which is not something you could really say a lot these days. So kudos to them. Thanks again for coming to the channel. As always, like, share, subscribe, come back. We got new stuff coming up all the time. It's your boy, Johnny Bagodonuts. We'll catch you guys on the flippy floppy.